beautiful people of the internet. It is I, Alex.slaney. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, then hi. My name is Alex. If you like this video, definitely click the like button, and if you'd like to see more of me, definitely click the subscribe button right down there and hit the post notification button if you want to know every time I upload. Today's video is going to be yet another health update. As many of you may know, based by my last video as well, I just got out of the hospital. I was in the hospital for 6 days. I found out that I have epilepsy. Yeah. Just a little recap if you are new. Over the course of a couple months, actually since April, I have had almost 10 seizures. Very spread out though, until the last few that I had, which were over a month ago. The first seizure I ever had was in April, and then my second one was in July, and then my third one was in August, and then my 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th were in September, which happened all within a week. I had 4 seizures within 7 days, so yeah. First one happened and we weren't sure what exactly happened or what exactly it was, so I didn't really get diagnosed with anything. I went to the hospital. They helped me recover. I was already conscious when I got to the hospital, but I saw a couple doctors. They didn't say anything. The second one happened. I went to the hospital again. Same thing. Saw a couple doctors. They thought I just passed out, and then I went home. The third time happened, so basically, after the bunch that I had in September, we went back to my neurologist because I was already seeing a neurologist, and we told him that I had several within a week. He prescribed medication. I started the medication and it seemed to be helping. I was at a very low dose though. I was at 25 milligrams, and I started off half of a pill per day, and then I went up to 1 pill a day, and then I went up to 2 pills a day, and I was at that for a little while. After I started the medication, everything seemed to be okay. I had no more episodes. I was off of school though, so I wasn't doing very much except for resting and keeping myself okay, because my anxiety was really high still. At that appointment as well, he had recommended me going to a neurological institute and staying there for close to a week for testing and for observation. So we got a call from the neurological institute in the middle of September, and we were told that we'd get admitted to the hospital October 21st. And then so we found that pretty long, but it went by somewhat quickly. We got a call October 21st and we're told that I would not be able to get admitted because they needed an extra space for someone in intensive care. We didn't end up getting admitted on the 21st, and then we actually got admitted on October 22nd, and then I was in the hospital 6 days. And within those 6 days, I had electrodes on throughout the whole time that I was there. I was observed, and there were EEGs going along for the whole time because of the electrodes that were on my head. They were tracking me during the day, they were tracking me at night, they were tracking my sleep, and if anything had happened, they would have tracked my seizures. But I didn't have any episodes. The hospital was a very different experience for me. If you haven't watched my vlog, I'll link it in the description. I didn't do a whole lot. The only time I really got up was to go get my electrodes re-glued, or when I went to go have my MRI, or I needed to go to the bathroom. So that's really the only time I was out of my room and out of bed. So I didn't do a lot of exercise, let alone a lot of walking. I had my vitals checked every day, and if you don't know what your vitals are, your blood pressure, whether or not you have a fever, as well as your heart rate, I had those checked almost every day, at least 1 to 3 times a day. As well as I had my blood taken. I had to take a swab test. Like, you put a swab up your nose to check if there are any contaminations within your body to know whether or not you're safe to be in an environment with other people. The food was okay. Most of the time my mom or dad or my aunt, when she came to visit, they brought me food, which was super nice. We saw a neurologist, and when we saw the neurologist, that's when we kind of started getting answers. The first time we saw the neurologist, she had mentioned that within the next few days, and this was the second day I believe I was there, that we would be taking me off my medication slowly to see if they could trigger anything. Because the point of you being there is for observation and to confirm or to see what is happening, if it has anything to do with your brain. So obviously it's not the best case scenario, but they are trying to induce a seizure. So I knew that kind of going into it, but I didn't really process it that much. Like, I processed it, but not to the point where, like, I processed it when I was at the hospital. So it was kind of nerve-wracking for me because I had been completely fine for over a month, and now they were taking me off my medication and I had no idea what I was going to do or what was going to happen. We came off my medication slowly, and I didn't really feel any sort of effect. I took one in the morning and then I didn't take one at night, and then the same thing the next day, and then after that it was no medication at all. The day before that I was off my medication completely though, thank God that I was still on my medication because I would have flipped my shit if I had to do this. I had an MRI. MRIs are scary. Okay, actually, I shouldn't say that. If you've ever had an MRI, you understand what I'm talking about. It's not necessarily scary, but I am not a super claustrophobic person, but it was highly claustrophobic in there. You're lying down on a thing, and you have this big head thing over you to keep you from moving, and you get brought into this big circle thing, and from the outside it looks like you have enough room to like somewhat move around if you're allowed to move around, but when you're in there you feel like you're being suffocated. And I had never had an MRI before, so it was very new for me. I had an MRI and it went somewhat okay. Like, I was anxious for some points, but it wasn't enough to like ring the bell that they gave me. There was a bell that I was able to hold on to, and like if I needed to cough or if I needed to sneeze or like if I needed to like just get out of there for a few minutes because I was anxious or whatever, I was fine. I was able to cope with it. It lasted a bit longer than I thought it would. I was in there for almost 30 minutes, I'd like to say. So yeah, I went back to the room and just chilled out. The day after, we just chilled out and I was off of all my medications, so I kind of wanted to stay low-key and not really move around and not really do anything because I didn't want to have an episode. No one wants to have an episode. No one wants to have a seizure, but obviously you don't know until it happens. We ended up seeing my neurologist and we went into the office because I started asking her questions about the MRI, and she wanted to show me the MRI to actually explain it to me. So we went into her office, my dad and I, and we went to see the pictures. And she also showed us some of the EEGs taken from the night before with my sleeping. And she showed us the MRI, and I kind of briefly explained this in my vlog, but I'm going to explain more in depth right now. I just want to explain before I get into everything that I'm about to explain to you in the video that this part for me to explain was extremely hard for me because I am still processing it. As positive as I'm being and as positive as I'm trying to be, it's still hard for me to wrap my head around. So it is going to be kind of all over the place, but I still get the message across, and it's hard for me to edit this because I'm a little all over the place and I'm talking somewhat quickly, but this is reality. This is me explaining. I just wanted to put that out there. The left side of your brain controls the right side of your body, and your right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. So, we saw the picture and we saw that my right brain is the right side of my brain is significantly bigger than my left. It went over half of where your a regular brain has its half, I guess, if that makes any sense. You see the split with my hair, like where my hair is parted? My right side of my brain is probably came all the way up to like here. Whereas a regular brain, someone with a regular brain with no disability and no sign of having epilepsy, their half would be right where my hairline is. The right side of my brain was significantly bigger because it compensated for the lack of movement and the lack of ability on my left side of my brain caused by my disability. So it is amazing that my brain was able to compensate for anything, and it would make sense as to why on the left side of my brain there were a lot of areas where it was just white, which shows that there's liquid in those areas, which isn't a bad thing, but there's no large improvement with my movements or ability to do stuff with my right side of my body, which makes sense because of my disability. As well as she showed me the scar of where on my brain I lost oxygen and where the stroke happened. So we saw all of that, and she explained to us that a lot of why your signs of having epilepsy is because of your disability, because often people who have scars on their brain are more prone to having seizures or are more prone to being diagnosed with epilepsy because it's a scar on your brain. Doesn't matter where it is, usually wherever the scar is, eventually, if it's bad enough or if it's triggered by anything, it'll induce a seizure. There was also the EEG that we were shown, and the night prior to seeing all of these results from the MRIs, normal brains, it's normal to have spikes within your sleeping, but there's a difference between little spikes and large spikes, which means that what she saw when I was sleeping the previous night, there were larger spikes, and I saw the larger spikes. And what she meant by small spikes is if you see like something like this, that is normal for a regular brain. Whereas me, several times within the night, my spikes would go like this, and then go like this, and then go like this, and then go like this. And those large spikes are not good, and they're not normal. But those large spikes, how she explained it to me is that those large spikes are like trying to light a gas stove. And when you use your lighter to try to light it up, the sparks that are trying to induce the stove to light up are the spikes. What she explained to me is that sparks from lighter equals spikes, and the actual fire equals seizure. Those little second like spikes within my sleep are little mini seizures. And then all of those little electrical kind of abnormal stuff going on in my brain, if there are too many of those within a certain amount of time, it causes a seizure. That's pretty much when I was diagnosed with epilepsy. And she explained to me with everything she saw, because my dad had some previous videos of some of my seizures that happened, because we were told that you should film them. So my dad showed the neurologist some of the videos that he had, as well as me explaining how I feel right before it happens and what happens before I lose consciousness, because usually my right arm would tense up and move up like this very tensely, and then my vision would turn into a tunnel, as well as my hearing would get very echoey, and then all of a sudden I would just black out and lose consciousness and then wake up however long after my seizure happened. She explained that I have focal and general epilepsy from the left temporal lobe. It makes sense because of everything that happened with my disability. It sucks, but that's life. There's medication that can help me with it, and it was visibly helping me when I was already on it. But yeah, she told me that we were gonna higher up the dose for my medication, and she explained to me what the difference between focal and general seizures are. Focal are usually small seizures, and they're usually just one part of your body moving, and a lot of people who have epilepsy only have focal episodes. And what I mean by lose consciousness, like you don't pass out after it's over, it's more of just like a blank out and you don't remember what happens and you slowly wake up from the focal seizure, but you're not completely out. Whereas general seizures is everything. Your whole body moving, your whole body seizing. Everything that I explained to her, it would make sense because I had my seizures start focal and then they go general. So basically it starts in one area of my brain and then moves to general. So yeah, that's what's up. That's what's happening. But we are hiring up the dose of my medication every week. I went from 25 milligrams twice a day to now I'm taking 50 milligrams in the morning, 25 at night. Next week I'm doing 50-50, so 50 in the morning, 50 at night, and then I'm moving up to 75 milligrams and then up to 100 milligrams. We already know that this medication works on me. And so I am trying to stay as positive as possible and trying to continue living life. And I feel much better knowing what it is. It sucks that I have epilepsy, but I know that I will be okay. So I'm very pleased to know that there's medication that helps me with it, as well as being able to start living a normal life again. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I want to thank each and every one of you who have reached out to me and asked me how I was doing and told me that I was being an inspiration, and just everyone who has reached out to me to wish me good luck. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will see all of you beautiful people in my next one. Don't forget that you're beautiful, smart, and awesome, and someone out there loves you. Bye.
1, 2,